Morning, you awesome D&D people. Welcome back to the channel. Hey, do you ever wonder how to give your players player agency, all kinds of player agency, without completely losing control of your game and having it just go off the rails every single time? Well, I'm going to tell you how I do it using two tactics. These work every time. You're not going to want to miss it. Let's dive in. Good morning, awesome people. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the GM Philosopher. Player agency is very important. If your players are not allowed to create their own destinies, if your players are not allowed to create the character arcs they want with their characters, if your players do not feel like they matter in the story or that they have choice or that they have free will, regardless of whether or not free will is actually an illusion, they are going to feel railroaded and it's not going to be any fun. So how do you give player agency without losing control of the campaign? Because it's also true that if you give a lot of player agency, sometimes players will just railroad you as the GM. They will ruin all your plans. All of your cool things that you thought of will just be a no-go. You might run into situations of GM burnout. You might feel like, what is the point of me even being here? Nothing I do seems to matter. And you know what? These players, even though I give them all the agency in the world, they lack direction. They are feeling like the game isn't really going anywhere because there's just no structure. How can I have some structure without taking away their agency and being a bad GM? Well, this is a struggle, and I used to deal with this a lot. When I first started playing, I was a classic railroader, and I had to learn very quickly not to do that because people would quit my games. If I wanted to play with cool people, I had to learn better. And so I love giving player agency, and there are two tactics that I have learned to use that can really help you to avoid losing all control of your game without taking away much player agency at all. And I'm going to dive into it, and we're going to talk about the first one right now. And this is really the concept of attempt to control player interest from the front rather than controlling player actions from the present. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So when I am planning out a campaign, when I'm planning out plot arcs, when I'm basically preparing for my sessions, when I am getting ready to play a session of D&D, I never think about how can I make the players do what I want. I always ask the question, how can I get the players interested enough in something that I know this thing is safe to prepare for, because I know that they're going to care enough to pursue it. This is the magic question. And this is how you lead players without taking away agency. When it comes to agency, I let my players have all of it. If they can find it in the rule book, or they can even halfway decently argue that they should be able to do it, I'm probably going to let them do it. I'm not going to try to railroad them in any way. I'm not going to put situations in front of them where they don't have any control. Even if it seems like a hopeless situation, if they come up with some kind of idea to oppose what's going on, I'm going to let them have it. For example, let's say that my characters are in the tavern, they're having an ale, they're talking about acquiring their next treasure, and boom, suddenly the doors fling open and guards rush in with arrest warrants for all of the party members because they did some murder hoboing back in the last village. Maybe there are 12 guards. Maybe I designed this from the perspective of the sheriff, where he did not want to allow any chance for escape. So there are 12 guards, there are 4 party members, and those party members are outnumbered now 3-1. And these guards are relatively close to the same level as the players, albeit maybe not as specialized. And maybe the guards also have a couple dogs, couple police dogs, okay? This might look like a bad situation. In fact, maybe they even have a guard stationed out front and at the back door so the players cannot run up back. Maybe I thought of everything, or maybe the sheriff thought he thought of everything, right? So how do you give players agency in this? Do we just hack and slash our way to the players not having any option to escape? No, because what most players are going to do is they're going to have ideas for how to get out of it. They might look at the situation and say, okay, we can't fight our way out of this. So one of them might say, I'm going to try to use my flask, pour my liquor onto the wall, and I'm going to try to light it on fire and burn a hole in it. I think to myself, okay, see, I might think, well, that's unlikely to produce a result fast enough to get you outside. However, that's not really up to me. They want to try it. So I say, okay, you dump your liquor onto the wall. Then a guard attacks you. Roll for initiative, right? So now we're in initiative. I let them do that. The guards are going to do what they're going to do. right? Choices are being made. The next turn, they say, I want to light this. It's like, all right, make a survival check. See if you can light it. I'm thinking there's combustible liquid on there. If they get some good sparks, they can light that. So they're going to light it, and it's going to go up in flames. That's their turn. Now I say, do you want to take your movement? Like, that was your action. Do you want to take your movement? Do you have a bonus action you want to take, right? So I'm just going to let them do their thing. Reality of it, the situation is that they may not be able to burn all the way through that wall, but that fire is going to happen. Smoke's going to start to roll. Vision's going to start to be obstructed. And then maybe on the next turn, they say, I'm going to try to kick the wall to see how sturdy it is. So maybe I'm going to roll some percentiles. How sturdy is this wall? I probably didn't predetermine the tensile strength of the wall materials. So let's see, let's roll. I'm going to roll a 45. The wall is a little bit thinner than usual. Roll a strength check. I'm thinking they're going to need like a 19 to get their foot through the wall, right? This is what I'm thinking to myself. With only one round of burning. Maybe every time it burns, that gets knocked down by a D4, right? So this is my way of thinking. But maybe they get rushed and attacked by 3 players or 3 of the enemies. So they may not have the HP to put up with this, or maybe they roll a 20 strength. They do put their leg through. And now I say, okay, it's going to require one more strength check. It'll have to be another action for you to put another hole in it so that you have enough room that you could potentially crawl through, right? So maybe there's another player at the same time who's saying, I'm going to run upstairs. So they run upstairs. I say, you're going to have to run past one of the guards. This is going to provoke an attack of opportunity. Do you care? He's going to say, I'm a rogue. I have the dash action. Oh, bam, get it. So, or the rogue disengage, the one where they can run by and they can not take attacks of opportunity. So he's going to run upstairs. Now, he's going to run upstairs and he's going to say, maybe go to the bedroom and open a window and say, I'm going to climb outside onto the roof. It's like, okay, roll climb check, right? See, I'm letting the players do what they want. I'm never going to have the guards barge in. Maybe I have in my mind, okay, what's going to happen is they're going to get surrounded. They're going to have to concede to these guards. They're going to have to surrender. They're going to go to jail. And in jail, they're going to meet their contact. Like if I have that plan, but the players don't go along with that, I must be 100% okay with letting that go. Because the truth is, players usually won't want to go the way you want them to go unless the way you want them to go is precipitated by interest, right? Unless they had some interest and they wanted to go to the jail, this situation is going to resist their desires. Now, I'm not saying that they're not going to go to the prison. They may get overwhelmed if they make the wrong moves, if they take too much damage, if they roll bad enough, they may not make it through the situation. But if that rogue gets onto the roof and then they climb over, they see that there's flames coming out the other side, maybe they scale down with their rope, maybe they help bash a hole in, and then they help their friend out. Maybe there's one guard outside who runs around who was guarding the front door, and they dispatch him, and boom, they make it to the stables, get their horses and go. Maybe there's guards on their tail, maybe there are guards firing bows at them, but there is a possibility for escape here. And I want them to use any interesting, any cool, zany ideas they might have at all, possibly, to be able to use their agency to escape. Now, why do I want to give them this much agency? Because this is a game, and the fun thing is for players to get to run their characters the way that they want to and to tell the stories that they want to tell with those characters. So then you might say, GM philosopher, okay, that's great, but then how can I ever plan anything? Because my players always do exactly what I am, like the opposite of what I'm trying to get them to do. And the answer to this is very simple. If you want your players to go down any predetermined plot path you have to get ahead of the situation by putting interest in front of them, and this will make them want to do it. For example, let's say that earlier in the day, in this setting, this little village, I had a little boy run up to them and hand them a note, and then he runs off. And the note reads, hey, I heard you were in town from one of my contacts. I'm locked in the sheriff's prison. If you can break me out, there will be gold and magic items in it for you. Signed, Mysterious Stranger. P.S. Cell number 3. Okay, so now they might be like, what is going on? Maybe they go to the jail and they say, we want to visit with the person in cell 3. Maybe they're interested enough to kind of go check it out. But then the sheriff's deputy kind of says, no, you can't be here. I'm going to need you to depart the premises. And then they slam the door in their face, right? So this is very mysterious, kind of weird. If I play this right, I could get the players to want to get into the prison. They might even plan to break into the prison, right? But then let's say that a little while later, they get surrounded by guards and they say, you're coming with us to the prison. Now, because I led with interest, there's a stronger possibility that they will actually throw down their weapons. Maybe they will say, whoa, 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 what's the deal? Are you going to take our stuff? Are you going to kill us? And then maybe the sheriff's going to say, no, no, no. Just throw down your weapons. All your stuff will be returned to you. We just need to take you over to the jailhouse because of these wanted posters. And maybe then I have them roll an insight check. They see the wanted posters are fake, right? So it's like, what's going on here? It's like a mystery. But then if they roll an insight on the sheriff, he seems to be a genuine guy. See, now the interest is different. This is different than them just getting swarmed, picked up against their will, and taken off to jail, right? I would never want to impose that kind of like railroading on them. But if I want them to go to the jail, I want to get ahead of that with the interest factor and try to draw them there. And then maybe this plan will work, but it'll actually probably turn out way more interesting even than I planned it, right? Okay, so that's tactic number one, is lead with interest. Tactic number two is watch out what you give your players. Okay, you can give your players a lot more agency when you don't give them overpowered things. And that's a pretty actually typical, that's a pretty straightforward thing. If you give your players a magic item that lets them travel through time and you give them player agency, expect your whole game to get broken. If you give them a sword that allows them to cut a hole in the fabric of reality and travel to different dimensions willy-nilly, expect for your whole game to get broken, okay? Before you give your players any powerful items that could potentially be like mechanic breaking or world breaking or plot breaking, you always want to ask yourself, am I totally fine with giving this player 100% agency to use this in whatever creative, destructive, zany, outrageous, ridiculous way that they might want to? If the answer is no, it's probably too early for them to get that item, or maybe that item isn't even good for your game setting. But by kind of restricting the items, you can do a lot to help prevent losing complete control of your campaign. With that being said, I relish the challenge of players taking the game in whatever direction they want. I am never tied to plot hooks or plot arcs or storylines. I will recycle them. I will come up with new ones on the fly, whatever. So for me, I'm not really afraid of giving these kinds of items because I love to riff and improv and just like let the players lead it. And then I want to follow it up by planning ahead of them, putting interest in the way and getting them to chase what I dream up through interest rather than trying to like push them toward it. I want to pull them in with interest with a good hook, right? Another thing that's going to be really helpful for this particular part, like with the letting players lead the way and then changing plot arcs, is my free ebook. I have an ultimate plot randomizer. If you sign up for my email list, link is in the description. You will get this for free in your first email. Random roll plot arcs on the fly using 4 handy D100 tables. Roll the hook, the conflict, the conclusion, and wild and wacky additions. Within seconds, you can have plot arcs for days, completely randomized, customize them, make them fit with your campaign with a little bit of your creative magic, and boom. Once the players derail one of your plans, you will have a plot arc lined up instantly to replace it with a couple of rolls of the dice. No problem, no sweat. So this will help you a lot. You'll want to sign up for my email list and grab that. Another thing you want to do, jump into my Discord. Me and a bunch of other people, awesome people from this channel and other TTRPG enthusiasts hang out in there. We talk about homebrew stuff. We talk about GM advice. There are people running games in there. If you're looking to run a game or you'd like to join a game, there's channels in there where people are running games. It's an awesome community for other like-minded GMs like us. So jump in there. If you like Discord, you'll at least want to stop by and say hi. We'd love to have you. And you might be able to ask for some advice from great GMs in there who have been there and done that and will know how to help you. And with that being said, that's all I have to say on this one. Thank you so much for coming back, watching another one of my videos. I'm here almost every day, creating videos about the best game in the world, D&D. So I will see you awesome people on the next one.